2, 1. Good day, everyone. Good, wonderful day. My name is Carlos. I'm your host for today for My Life Without Limits, with my co-host Leah, which she's from her home today.
Yeah, both of us. All of us are at home.
All of us, yeah, because I'm actually on my home too, actually. We're not in the office today. I just wanted to say hi to Leah, first of all, and welcome everyone before we introduce our wonderful guest today that we have for today. So, Leah, how's your day going?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. You wake up really good?
Yep, I did. It's always nice to wake up knowing that I don't have to drive downtown. Yeah. Can just kind of do a roll out of bed to the kitchen table.
Just to tell the audience, you're really nice dressed up today. It's not like you came up.
I did put effort in, yeah.
It's not like you came up in your pajamas.
No, I'm fully dressed, got makeup on, ready to go.
Good, which is very good. So you get to do that even though you're at home, and I got to do that too even though I'm at home. Yes. But yeah, so I'm very, very excited to have our great guest for today, which you were able to link us again as you always do with wonderful, wonderful guests. I really appreciate that. And we have an amazing guest who you know for a very, very long time. So I will let you introduce her and to the rest of our audience. So
yeah, I'm very lucky to have my cousin here, Alyssa Spencer. So it's like, yeah, when you say we've known each other for a long time, I don't even really know when I first officially met you, but I feel like it's just been the last like 5 years or so that we've really, been in touch and stuff. So I'm very excited to have my cousin here. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I know. I feel like I've always seen over Facebook. I've always followed you guys, but yeah, like 5 years, we've really been able to connect, which has been nice.
Yes, and it's just funny how with you, the work you do and the work I do, how we've kind of got this little bit of a overlap, with the disability community and everything. Alyssa, for all of our listeners, she works with a service dog agency, a government accredited service dog agency, and she's just going to talk a little bit about her experience with that. And I don't know, just whatever we kind of go into. So maybe just start by giving us a little introduction to you, Alyssa, and how you came to be where you are today.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm a 25-year-old service dog instructor, like Leah mentioned. I got my start in it when I was in university. So I did my undergrad at the University of Alberta in the Faculty of Kinesiology. And so I did my BARS degree, if we have anyone here who knows what that is, which is Bachelor of Arts in Sport, Recreation, and Tourism. So yeah, while I was doing that, I really owe my whole career in my adult life to my mom. Shout out Lynn. Our family dog Jackson had passed away, and she was looking for another dog, but didn't want that commitment. And she saw on Facebook that a service dog agency was looking for a loving, safe home for one of their puppies. So looking for puppy raisers to raise this dog. And the credentials were safe home, loving environment, can come to puppy classes. And then they pay for everything and they teach you everything that you need to know. So we started as puppy raisers, and we got our first puppy, who was a maniac. He chewed everything in the house, you guys. And I fell in love with it. It was so fun to just understand dog behavior and how this dog not only helped me with my general anxieties that I have when I'm out in public, but it was so amazing to get to hear the trainer talk about what this dog is going to do when he's a fully trained service dog. And now almost 4 years later, that dog that we had, who was a monster, is currently a autism service dog. Yeah, and so he's working and crushing it, and he's no longer a monster. And so it just got me hooked.
Yeah. That's right. Awesome. Yeah, you guys just blossomed with this, and I would love but I don't have that mental capacity or emotional. It's got to be hard to give them up. Well, I guess you're not really giving them up, but you know, when they're ready to move on, right?
Yeah, it's such like a double-edged sword because on one hand, you're raising this dog from the time that it's about like 8 to 12 weeks old, somewhere in there. And then you are with them all day, every day. You take them everywhere with you.
Yeah.
Like my puppies went to university with me when I was in my undergrad. So everyone knew me as the girl with the dog, which was super fun. Great way to make friends. And then they go and they move, if you're a puppy raiser, they move to their adult raiser and they kind of go to big kids school where every day the adult raiser drops the dog off to school, and the trainers at the school teach it its advanced skills. You're kind of seeing this dog in elementary school, and then it goes to university, and then it's doing its master's program, and it's working. And so in a way, you are saying goodbye to this dog, but I'll never forget, the head trainer explained it to us. She said, it's kind of like, I love my kids, but I don't want them to live with me forever.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. So it's beautiful. It's amazing to see them go from like this, little shithead for that.
Yeah, exactly.
To this beautiful, really mature dog that is the difference between independence and full-time care for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Carlos, have you ever thought about getting a service dog to help you?
Thought so. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that has been in my mind for a long time, to have like a little, service dog, mostly when you live alone. It's important to have somebody who not only to be your companion, but to be there for if anything happens emergency wise or something. They can be a part of something, right? So mostly knowing me, that I don't want to have emergency buttons or anything like that, because it's like, I'm a person that likes to have my own independence and my own things, and I'm a little stubborn too, unfortunately. But but no, I've been looking into it, and trying to see if it's a possibility, and that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Sorry, Leah, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just love the idea of them, even the emotional support. I just love it. Yeah.
It's amazing. We have so many clients who have either limited mobility or depending on the day, limited mobility. So they may wake up one day and have no problem, and then the next day they find that they're using their aids a lot more. And a service dog is just amazing because it's so tailored to that person that no matter where you're at that day with your mobility, or we also train dogs for people who have depression or PTSD. So maybe one day they just don't have it in them to get out of bed that day, and the dog is designed and trained for that person. They're matched with their personality. So Carlos, you're stubborn. I would have the best stubborn dog for you. And they're there for maybe I wake up, I have really poor mobility that day. Everything is really hurting and I need to get my medication to make me feel better, but I just can't get out of bed for it. Our dogs are trained to go find that medication and bring it to you, and also bring you the water that you need to take your medication with. So they'll go to the fridge, they'll go to your medicine basket that we have when we have dogs doing that skill, and they bring it to you so that you have that independence. You don't need to call somebody over to come help you, and you can just hang out in bed that day with your dog if you want.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool? That's so cool.
That is so cool.
I find it so cool. So has doing all of this helped with your anxiety and everything? Do you find that it's really helping with your own mental health too?
Yeah, I find it super helpful just for my own mental health. When I got into it, I was a little bit in denial. I remember my mom saying, she was like, yeah, Alyssa, I talked with the trainer and she said that, even though you don't maybe need a service dog yourself, having the dog with you might help your anxieties. I'm like, Mom, I do not have anxiety. I have since given into that. And I do have a really hard time being in public, being in new places. People in my space is really difficult for me. And I find it so helpful because the dog takes all the pressure off of me. No one cares about me when I'm in public and I have a dog. Everyone cares about my dog. So and I all of a sudden I can't get in my head because I'm not worried about, what someone is doing behind me because I'm focused on my dog. And I point to my left because that's where my dogs always walk, on my left hand side. I'm worried about my dog and I'm like, okay, what is my dog doing? Is my dog cool? And I can just fixate on them instead of fixating on the fact that like I would much rather be at home in my PJs.
Yep.
So
I think you come by that honestly in the family, because I'm the same way. When I'm like, if Audrey goes to do something with friends or, go to grandma's, and then I've got time to myself, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the mall and do some shopping, and then I don't know what to do. I wander and I get a coffee, and then I end up just sitting and just because I don't know what to do. And it's the same thing. I find it feels like people are jumping out at me and they're too close, and it's like same thing. Like I have a hard time being alone in situations like that. But when Audrey's with me, I'm like watching her, making sure no one kidnaps her, making sure no one
like, is she okay?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I think you come by that honestly in the family.
I do have a question though. We know that you have basically a lot of dogs around you because you work with dogs, but do you have your own personal dog? Do you have your own dog that is yours and doesn't go anywhere after you finish in training? Like it's just your own dog, as your own like pleasure or leisure?
I do, yeah. So I have my own dog. Her name is Mocha. She's 6 years old and she's a chocolate lab. She is not here right now because she's a breeding dog with a kennel that is up in Medicine Hat. I will show you a picture of her though.
Yeah, for those of us who be watching YouTube with this episode, they can see it for sure.
Yeah. So I adopted her in the spring. I knew that I did not want a puppy. And maybe this will be a good message to anyone who's thinking about adopting a dog. So I knew I didn't want a puppy. I've done the puppy phase with all of the puppies that my family has raised, a service dog agency. So I knew I wanted an older dog. I didn't want the chewing. I live in a rental, so I couldn't do that. This is her.
Oh my gosh.
She's so cute. So yeah, I got her when she was 6, and I contacted this breeder and I said, hey, I really want a dog that is bomb proof. So that's a saying in the dog training world for a dog that anything can happen around it and it's just kind of like whatever. And so she said, I have the dog for you. And she gave me Mocha, and honestly, like I'm emotional talking about it. She's my best friend. I kind of model my life around her. So we go to a lot of pet friendly places. I'm in Calgary now. Calgary's super pet friendly. So very excited for the patios to open up. She in Edmonton, where I was previously living, she would go to the climbing gym with me. So she was my workout buddy. Here she can't go because it's not pet friendly, but she goes everywhere that she can with me, and she's in a way kind of like my little service dog, but unofficially. And she's amazing. Like I can do anything to her. I can ask her to be in a downstay while I go do XYZ, and she's just happy to sit there, and dogs go by, kids go by, people go by, and she just kind of sits and people watches. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's so great. And I like the fact too that you were, able to turn your, volunteerism into a career. We have an employee, our staff member, our coworker, Janice too, was a volunteer in our programs. And now she's our program coordinator and turned it into a career. And I just think that that's really cool. It was always a job that I was always like, wanted you to have. I was always like, waiting for a position to open up with us that you could come work with us, but you have found your
really
you have found your thing.
I remember talking about that with you doing like the volunteer coordinating, and it's such a happy accident that I fell into this role that I'm in now. I mean, again, who would have thought that almost to the day, almost 4 years later from when we got our first puppy, I would be moving for this job that I have to do this. So it's incredible. And, you know, with the pandemic, jobs were hard. I actually I had a job lined up to be a program coordinator with a county near Edmonton, and programs weren't happening, so they didn't need it. So they unfortunately had to kind of let me go before it even started. And so it was such a happy accident to have fallen into this role. And like I'm not sure if you guys are big on like fate or like what you're meant to do, but like
sometimes, you know,
I very strongly believe that like I was born to do this. I found a lot of success in it, and it's so cheesy to say, but it's my greatest honor to get to work with these individuals who are training the dog for themselves to mitigate their own disability, which is my role here. So I get to give these people the power. They're taking the power into their own hands, and they are making the world more accessible for themselves, which is so badass. Like it's amazing.
It is.
That's awesome.
It's so, isn't it cool? I just, and I know I gush over you all the time because I know that Audrey remembers you as the girl who took her to see the horses when we were out at our uncle's house, at Uncle Colin's house, and then the horse bit her, I think. But that's how she remembers you. She remembers you as a girl that took her to see a horse. But I don't know. I just find that you're a great role model, because I don't know. She likes volleyball. You were big into volleyball. She does dance, and you've taught dance, and I don't know. You're a great role model, and I was so happy to see like when you started posting things on Facebook about disabilities, and you know your support of Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ plus, all that. So I was like, yay! And I just think that's great.
Oh, it was like after, again, with the pandemic, it gave me a lot more time to read and like be more like versed on like just different disability communities. And luckily, like in my undergrad, we learn a lot about those things and different languages and how different communities might want different things. But it was always from like a very scholarly point of view. Obviously, I was in the program because I wanted to learn these things. But after I had graduated, I all of a sudden, and you know, with the pandemic, I didn't have a job. So I had all this time to learn about these things, and in a really like self-guided way. And it was fascinating. And, you know, unfortunately there did come a time where I lost a really close friend just because they were not able to accept just different things in the disability community. And like, it was really unfortunate, but I learned a hard lesson that was, you know, we need to listen to the people that are telling us these things and telling us their stories. And it's not my place to tell people how they want to identify and need to be and want to be spoken about. So it's the least that I can do to listen and then act upon that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just on the topic of the disability root of it, there's a lot of dogs nowadays who you see on the bus or you see in the streets that are having a big sign that says, or the little sign that says service dog or something like that. And then on the little fine print it says, please do not touch, because they're working. Right? A lot of people might not know why that is important, because usually when you see a dog, including myself, the first thing I want to do is go pet the dog or go touch the dog.
It's hard not to.
He or she is like very cute, like your dog, Mocha, for example. If she was a service dog, you wouldn't be able to touch it while she's working, right? So could you explain to our audience why is it important not to bother the dog while well, even if they don't have a visual disability, even if they have only a normal disability or a different disability, why is it important not to touch it? Just in case people don't know the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good question. So with all, I always say with all dogs, always ask first, even if it's not a service dog. Because something that I learned only after I'd had a dog that was nervous around people was that, like, so Mocha doesn't love being pet by people. She just likes coexisting. And so if someone just comes up to her, she finds that really abrasive, and
Don't blame her.
Yeah, like I'm the same way. But with specific to service dogs, so there's kind of two reasons why we don't pet them. The first is because the dog does have some kind of job where they have to be monitoring the area around them. So that could mean they have to monitor the person's heart rate or blood sugar levels. They could also have to monitor the person's physical body to look for signs like excessive sweating, darting eyes, shallow breathing, fidgeting with their fingers, tapping their legs, different signs of stress, because our dogs are taught to read and react, or smell and react, to alert to different things. So for example, if I'm an anxious person, I'm sitting here picking my nails, my dog is taught to come over and mitigate that. So they come over and they might like boop me with their nose and then apply deep pressure therapy so that I can self-regulate and calm myself down. They might also alert me to a heart rate increase or drop so that I know, okay, my heart rate has just dropped. I might lose consciousness. I have to get myself somewhere safe. So that's the first reason. The second reason is it can be really stressful to the service dog user or the handler. So for example, if I have PTSD, anxiety, or I'm just a person that's minding my own business and I don't love when strangers come up to me for whatever reason, it can be very jarring to have someone approach you. And it can also, I find comfort in people talking and taking the focus off of me onto my dog. But the important thing is to remember is that these people are out all day, every day with their dog. And so it can be quite annoying and taxing and kind of like having the same conversation over and over again when you approach them. Yeah. But I will say with that, our dogs that we train them to ignore the public. So our dogs don't typically wear any patches that say, don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't touch me. Because we found that, I could wear a bright yellow shirt that says, don't touch my dog, and someone's still going to touch my dog. And I could, yell from the rooftops at everybody when I enter West Edmonton Mall, don't touch this dog, but someone's still going to do it. And so we teach our dogs that no matter what the public is doing, that, you just focus on me and they're no big deal. And I actually had that first service dog. I was shopping in West Edmonton Mall at Dynamite. And I looked down to him and I said, you're such a good boy. And as I was saying it, he just like slid backwards away from me. And I was like, what the heck? And I look behind me and there's a toddler. She was probably about 4 or 5. And she pulled his tail.
Yeah.
So he slid backwards and he just looked at her and was like, what are you doing? Could have cared less. Yeah. And it was, it's things like that do happen. And so that's why we teach our dogs, it doesn't matter what the public does. You just focus on it.
Yeah, because you're right. There could be kids that they don't have the possibility of reading it or like understanding that they're not supposed to touch a dog. As a kid, the only thing you want to do is just touch the dog, right? He's fluffy, he's cute, he's, like whatever, or she, right? So it's true. Like sometimes they're going to come and touch it and there's nothing you can do about it, right? So, but it's very interesting. I always thought this is a good lesson for me because I always thought all dogs who are service dogs have like tags that says, do not touch my dog. Because I've probably seen the same lady in the bus that brings a really cute chocolate lab in the bus that the first thing I want to do is just touch it, but I can't touch it because I feel even afraid of looking at it. Because if you look at it,
stare them down. I'm like,
you could be like, uh-oh, he might think we want to play, but I don't want to do that, but it's so cute that
Yeah.
that it's there. But I always thought that they always have a sign on it, but it's interesting that they don't. Like yours guys just don't have that, which is very interesting. Very good.
Yeah.
They'll always have a sign that says service dog. I should clarify.
Oh, okay.
But just not the do not pet.
But
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
okay. Cool.
Yeah. Aw. Can cats be service dog animals? You know, we have our Felicia in our house. And she's like, Audrey could use sometimes an emotional support animal. Felicia doesn't do the job. Like she does not. She does for me. I'm her person, right? Like I'm the mom. So she will come and sit with me and purr on me. And oh my God, what? Like honestly, like I honestly can't fall asleep sometimes unless she comes and lays first and does her purring. And then I'm like, oh, it relaxes me. And I'm always like, I wish that we could somehow, I don't think she would be down for it, but
in Alberta, just dogs. But you could, I always tell people the value of your animal is not determined by this status that it has.
Right.
Like, yes, they can't, be in public. But that's not to say that like your dog, your cat, your bunny, your rabbit doesn't provide you massive support.
Agreed. Yeah.
And pressure and counseling and in your home or pet friendly places. So
yeah. No, that's true. And she does bring us joy. She does. Like she'll just sitting, Audrey and I are just like, oh, look at her.
The amount of times that I'll be like, look at the dog. And my friends are like, she hasn't moved. I'm like, but look at her.
I know. We do that all the time. We nudge each other. We're like, look what Felicia's doing. I don't know. Yeah, it's just just love her.
They're so cute.
That's awesome. Otherwise, if you can make any animal a service dog or an emotional dog, you can have a snake too. But I mean, that would be kind of, in my opinion,
some people, right?
But for those people, for those people, bless their heart. But for me, it would not.
For me, it would just make my anxiety worse.
Much worse.
But for some people.
Yeah. So my neighbor in Edmonton, I would come outside and he would just like have this snake wrapped around his arm. And I was like, I would just turn around and go back inside.
Yeah. No. Even at the pet store, I can't walk into the reptile. Like I can't go into I always say anything that's below my ankle really freaks me out. Like it's, I don't like anything that's too small.
Oh, so you probably cannot come to Mexico, Leah. There's a lot of cockroaches there.
No, no.
Nope. No cockroaches for me.
No cockroaches, please. No lizards, nothing like that. I can't.
Part of my job is to expose these service dogs to everything. And so
right.
Reptiles and birds, all of which I don't necessarily love. So
yes.
I'm there and I'm like freaking out, and the dog is like, "What are you doing?"
Do you have any other fun stories from some of the dogs? Any?
Well, I mean, just some funny ones. Like, of course, when you work with puppies and dogs that are in training, you're bound to have some accidents in public places.
Oh, true.
And so I have some like pretty good like dogs pooping in public.
Yeah.
Middle of West Central Mall, everyone's walking past me, and it's just
great. They're kind of like children. Interesting.
And to be clear, that doesn't happen often.
No, but
you're working with such young puppies, things do happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had a dog once in university. It was the same dog, and he was a menace, but he had really bad tummy troubles at one point.
Aww.
And so, I felt so bad for him. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking with a professor, and I was really confused because my professor had sent me an email and he was like, I really enjoyed this project that we had a group project on. He's like, great work. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. And then we got our grade back and it was like a 78 or something like that. And we were like, you really enjoyed it, but we only got a 78. So we went to go talk with him about why. And so I had this dog with me, and we're standing there and we're trying to advocate for ourselves and be like, I think we deserve a better mark. And then all of a sudden I hear this, and he pukes all over this classroom. And I would be a horrible mother because I cannot do puke.
Right.
And so I then start gagging and had to leave the room, and it was just awful. It was awful.
The dog, like, this is what I think of your mark. Yeah.
Yeah, the grade stayed the same. It did not go up, but
yeah. Unpredictable, right? You just don't know. I know sometimes Felicia will kind of start, and we all kind of stop, and it's like this, like, and then she's good, but I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna have a hairball or something, but then she always goes to like the worst spot, and I'm like, no, stay on this floor.
Stay on the hardwood floor.
Don't go to the carpet.
Yeah, don't go to the carpet.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Other fun ones. Probably my favorite, one of my favorite stories was, so my second foster dog that I had with my family, we refer to dogs as like my heart dog. And that is your dog that is like your body and soul. Like you have a couple of them in your lifetime. He's been the only heart dog that I've had so far, and I've worked with a lot of dogs. Even my own dog Mocha, I don't consider her my heart dog. She is my dog. She's my girl. Right. But dog and I just had a different connection. And so we puppy raised him, and then through circumstances, he actually came back to us as he was a little over 2, and just unfortunate circumstances. And so I fostered him again by myself. I had moved out of my parents' house at this point, and I was in my own apartment. So I had him myself, and our bond just like really grew. And he got placed as an autism service dog. And like I was at Beer Fest actually. And I had our most recent foster dog with us, and someone approached me and she said, my best friend has this dog, and he's just changed their life.
Yeah, I know, right?
It was amazing. And like giving him up in order for this family to get their life back. Yeah. She said they go to restaurants now. They go to hockey games, and it's their youngest who has the service dog, and he could never go to watch his brother's hockey games because it was too stimulating, and he would have a meltdown. And so now this dog goes with him, and I get pictures, and this little boy is sitting with his service dog on his lap and his headphones on. He's watching his big brother play hockey. And it's just like the most, like, this family is a family again, because the sacrifice that everyone has made to get this dog to this point. It's amazing.
That's an amazing story, and you don't get to hear this wonderful stories and how it can change people's life to have some sort of a companion to let them do their regular lifestyle, because again, some people cannot go outside in the public if you're autistic or not. I mean, we serve a lot of people with autism, or few people with autism, and we know that each of them have different stages of life, and to hear that this particular individual was able to continue with their life and enjoy the brother hockey game is pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. I'm thinking we should probably get an office dog or something.
I think we should.
It'd be really beneficial to our productivity.
Yeah.
And for our clients.
I keep telling Leah to bring her cat in, but she's
Felicia would just, I don't know what she would do.
When I'm in Edmonton again, I would absolutely volunteer to bring my dog to come see you guys.
Yes, we do need to do that. Audrey would love that. Like, she was always a little, well, she doesn't like those your dog would be great because she doesn't like dogs that are like in your face, and and I think that would be so great. And
Yeah.
Would
Oh,
love
she's the best. Like, she loves kids. Like,
Mhm.
I think she thinks they're her babies.
Aw.
When we're at the climbing gym, we usually would go when there was like a kids program for climbing, and she would
Mhm.
care less about me. Like, I'm over here and she's sitting this way, facing the baby. And she would position herself right in their way, so they'd have to pat her on their way out. And she will, if adults pet her, she likes it. She's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is fine. But when a kid pets her, she sits so pretty, and she's
Aw.
like, I don't want to look at them because I don't want to freak them out, but I need to sit so still so that they pet me.
Oh my God,
that's
it's just
awesome.
incredible. I
Yeah,
can't get over it. They're so special.
yeah, her instincts are pretty good. Pretty good. Although I will say I had a headache the other day, and I was like, I bet it would feel good to kind of press my head into her fur. And
Yeah.
she was like, what are you doing? Like, you are so not a service dog.
Yeah, I do that with Felicia when she purrs, because they say that the purring gives off some kind of, I don't know, healing energy or something. So when she purs, I'm like putting my head on her. So I'm like, let me get some of that.
Yeah. Oh, it totally does.
Her
The
action.
vibrations and
Yeah.
With
yeah.
your dog that you got for your personal life, do you train her at some point with your skills that you have learned in this job, or that she was already fully trained, or do you have to show her some of the stuff that you wanted her to learn? Or
So it's such a funny, so she came very very well mannered. Like
okay.
Mhm.
she, doesn't bark. I think I've heard her bark like 3 times.
Wow.
She doesn't jump. She, doesn't chew things. Um, and she definitely was lovely and very, very polite dog. She knew how to walk on a leash without pulling like a train. But I definitely had to teach her like my standard of things, which is quite high. So it took a good amount of time to teach her how to walk in the heel position. So now she walks in the heel position, and she has a good loose leash, and she's not pulling me anywhere. I had to teach her to not bolt through doors. So she
Okay.
used to like rip through the doors. So now she won't go through a door without me telling her she can. I had to teach her how to stay, because she just wanted to be next to me all the time. So I had to, like, I couldn't even take one step away from her without her following me. And then we had to teach her leave it, because she is a lab and she's very food motivated. But now she's good. I can leave food pretty much anywhere. Like if I'm eating on my couch or something, I can just leave it there and she won't eat it. And she won't take food out of little kids' hands because they're right her height.
Yeah.
I actually have the funniest picture from my mom's birthday party of my friend's son, who is a toddler, and Mocha was like obsessed with him and she wouldn't leave him alone.
Aww. That's so sweet. Yeah, I guess, yeah, they're at their height, so it would be so easy to grab.
And like, so he has food in his hand.
Aww.
She's like leaving it be. So
Aww.
she's a good girl that way, but yeah, she still has a ways to go, but she's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very,
And
very
it's
awesome.
fun. I guess you could say that these dogs are helping their humans live life without limits. They're helping them to actually live a life without limits, which is what we're all about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We love that. So, do you have any more questions, Carlos, before we get into the life without limits part?
No, absolutely. I was gonna ask you if you wanted to touch base on that. My life.
Yeah, we love our life without limits chat. So what about you, Alyssa? What does life without limits mean to you? And do you live a life without limits?
I try to. I think that's all we can do. My life to me, what living life without limits, I think it means living under the philosophy of I don't know if you guys are familiar with this at all. I took a yoga class, and the teachings were you feel these things, you aren't these things. So I can feel sadness, but I am not a sad person. And so just not attaching yourself to those things, and living very fluidly. And then the other part of living life without limits is making the world accessible for yourself, and for others. And so I just want to give a huge shout out to the clients that I work with that are training these dogs for themselves, because like we talked about earlier, they're taking the bull by the horns and they're making their world more accessible for themselves by training the service dog for themselves, which that's living life without limits to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. No.
I love that.
I love that answer, because like I told Leah and all of our audience, every answer is different. And I think that we learn from every single answer something new. And because every answer, every person has a different answer for that question, right? So and it has a different way of living a life without limits. So it's a very cool answer for sure. Sure.
No, that makes sense to me.
I do have one question, which it might be not out of topic, but how long do you usually did it usually take the client to train a dog? Because it's something that if I ever get a dog, I'm just thinking, how long would it take me to get to to train? Because I imagine I have to be there on the training stages, as you mentioned. So how long would it be for that training stages for a person?
It takes about 2 years. So the dog is usually somewhere between 2 to 2.5 by the time it's a fully trained service dog, and then they can work until they're 9.
Until they're 9,
Yeah.
and then they can retire, right? So they can
and they retire.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
That's a lot of
life.
I wish we can retire at 9 years of working, right, Leah?
I know, right?
But again, technically they work 24 hours, or they work more hours than humans. Well,
that's
they're
true.
also a living thing. So that makes sense that they retired 9 years after that. So it does.
And in dog years, they're a lot older.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
In dog years, they're probably at the retirement age. So it's only fair.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Well, thank you, Alyssa, for coming today.
Thank you.
To this show, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people will take something great out of this show, and so glad that you were able to come and chat with us today. I do want to ask one question though. Do you have any if they have any questions, can we have your email address? We will put it on people's on your description, right, Leah? We'll put on the.
Did you have Instagram accounts for your dogs, right? Sometimes
I do.
Is there anywhere? Yeah, so maybe I could add on the show description some Instagram accounts for the dogs.
Yeah, maybe? Absolutely. I can give you a couple different ones. I can also give you my email as well, and then you guys can have that. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay, perfect. In case anybody's interested in taking in a puppy and being a puppy raiser or whatever, or if you need a dog. Yeah.
Even if getting more information about how to have a service dog or an emotional dog or whatever, like people can connect with you. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would love that. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This has been awesome.
I'm glad you came
Thank you. We're very, very happy that you came on. And to all of our audiences, feel free to connect with us. Feel free to continue to follow us. Reach out to Leah, reach out to me if you have any questions, concerns, or if you want to be a guest, you'll be more than happy to connect with us, and we'll be more than happy to have you. And please remember to always live your life without limits and have fun today. Take care.
Bye.